Either she homeless or she got problems. That's the only reason why she run to a black man.
I like him already.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on!
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Producer, director, writer. He is the ultimate filmmaker and bona fide foodie. You're listening to The Quidditas Factor with Michael J. Arbouet.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Quidditas Factor with Michael J. Arbouet. What is this word, this strange thing called Quidditas? Adriana, let them know what it is.
Quidditas, Latin, the whatness of a thing, the essential nature of something, the quality that makes a thing what it is.
Yes, Quidditas is the whatness or essence of a thing or person. And in this episode, we're interviewing actor and producer Robert Funaro. He is someone that I met years ago on a movie set, and you might recognize him from The Sopranos. He's also been in countless other films in New York and in California, and he recently just starred in The Irishman, directed by Martin Scorsese. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview with my friend, Robert Funaro. Hey, Robert, how you doing?
All right, man.
I'm doing good, Robert, doing good. So this is the Quidditas Factor, and I guess my first question to you is, tell me how it all began. Tell me about Robert Funaro, the early years.
Okay, I'll tell you a story. I got a good one for you because I always remember this one. I was about, I think I was, what was I? I believe about 8, 9 years old, and I lived on 19th Avenue in Bath. And, we all had I wouldn't call it a gang, but the guys that used to play kick the can, and my friend Anthony Fasinello and all the guys from the neighborhood on 19th and Bath. My father, he was an interior decorator, so he lived right next door to where he worked, and that was bad because I used to get beatings. My mother would call him, when she couldn't handle me or whatever. Not that I was an unruly child, but I'm just saying that wasn't a good thing to have your father work next door to where you live. So anyway, this one story, I think it kind of shaped me and tell me like who I was really in a way. I'm a bit, in terms of the film and fantasy and imagination. I remember us going to the Deluxe. It was on Bath Avenue, the Deluxe movie theater. I forgot where, Bath and Cropsey, I'm not sure. And we went to see Pinocchio. And it wasn't the animated version. It was like a claymation or something. I don't know if it was Ray Harryhausen or it was a claymation. It was one of the popular ones. It might have been the actual film with real people. Mm-hmm. And we got like 3/4 in, and I'm just like engrossed by this. I'm saying 8 years old. I'm loving it. And the film ends, and I'm just like, this is great. I look around, and my friends are not there any longer. They're gone. They left me flat. Because they thought it was too like it was quiffy, like, or whatever you want to call it, to watch Pinocchio, whatever it was. So I never forget that feeling of like being by myself, in the theater, and they weren't there. Of course, I rejoined them, and they had a big laugh on me, but I didn't understand it then, but now I do understand it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It just wasn't. Now it wasn't just meant to. I don't know. I mean, I think there's a validity to everything that we do. Everyone's essential now more days than ever, but it kind of told me who I was in a sense of imagination and, who I am as a person to stay to watch, Pinocchio and them leaving, so you know what I'm saying? Us artists would stick together,
So tell me, when and how did you get into acting?
Well, again, my uncle, he was a Monsignor, or actually he ended his life, God rest his soul, Father Joe Finaro. He used to do these, he started with he put together a group of actors and to raise money for Catholic charities. And he used to put these plays on, like Guys and Dolls and Fiddler on the Roof, and I got my education like going to his plays, and just loving the the whole thing with the theater and stuff like that. I actually auditioned for one of them as a dancer, because I really had a crush on one of the girls, this blonde, and she quit, and then I quit, and he said, "Why did you quit?" And I just couldn't tell him that it was because of that dancer. But anyway, I mean, I really wasn't a dancer. I didn't want to be a dancer, more acting than. But back then, but I know that's how I got my taste of show. That's how I got my taste of show business, Mike.
When did you get your first agent? Who took that chance on you?
My first agent was James Gandolfini. And, he was, because we had done a play in Europe, A Streetcar Named Desire. He played Mitch, I played Stanley. We did 3 months in Scandinavia, Finland, Sweden, and finally Norway. It was like it was a wonderful production that we moved on the road. Sometimes in Sweden we played in nice theaters, and other places we played in. Anyway, so we did that, and then we lost touch with each other. And then a friend of mine approached him at a party, and he said, "Hey, I know a guy named Bobby Finero. He's a friend of yours." I said, "What's Bobby doing?" He's working at Caroline. So my friend Gordon, he says to me, he's really got a set of cast iron cojones. He says, "If I was you, I'd get him a job on your show," because it was 3 years in on The Sopranos. Mm-hmm. So he remembered that I was working at a comedy club, and he came, and he went to a few comedy clubs with the driver, Joe Fay, and he found me, and the rest, he asked me to audition. And I guess, I say agent because I really, back then I didn't have an agent. Agents have been really, really elusive. I've only really had one legitimate agent, and God rest his soul, he was my manager before he passed away, Eric Faber. And we did a lot of work together. We did the Scorsese stuff together and a lot of the great stuff. And he was from Atlas Talent. And I did have a legitimate commercial agent when I got on Sopranos, but not until then could I bag an agent. It was very difficult. And it still is a challenge. I have a manager now, and she's trying to get me an agent or whatever. And it's still, I mean, you want to just get to the table, and it's still a difficult task. I find myself a lot of times when they can't cast a part, I kind of fit. I fit the part.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened with Ray Donovan. I think my last TV series, there was a recurring role on. I think they were having a hard time casting the role, and the director, who I forgot his name, he did Maria Full of Grace.
Mm-hmm.
He I got to go to Meredith. At first, I think Meredith said, "Well, I don't know about Bob. He's on Sopranos. He's been known." And then they acquiesced to my manager, kept persistent, and I got in. But I went right to filming. So, same thing with The Irishman. It was the last minute. I didn't even think I was going to get into Irishman, but then I was told that part was like that part that I was auditioning for was a part that everyone auditioned with that role in order for Marty to fit people in. And I finally got that role. They talk about that in films. It's I forgot what they call it. It's a certain scene that everyone does. Anyway, Go ahead, Mike. I'm talking about your ear off.
No. That's good. I want you to talk your ear off.
I'm so glad to be here with you, man. I just tell you, man, it's something else.
That rolls into the next couple of questions that I have, because we met like early on. I had just gotten out of film school. I'd moved back to New York. I'd lived in California. And I met you on that movie, I Believe in America, and you were just coming off of The Sopranos. So I wanted to ask you, you didn't have an agent really, but how do you go about getting roles? Do you still audition, or is it word of mouth?
Well, no. I had an agent, an independent artist. Eric Faber was my agent. From independent. Then Jack Monash, who owned the company, disbanded it, and Eric went on to be a manager. Right. I had Eric as a manager. Now I have Diana Prano from Multimedia Management. She's my manager. So, it's really not by mouth. No, you can't get in the door that way. You have to get in some sort of way. So, I think that even with the digital era, the digital things with the Actors Access, it opened things up for everyone to have. It made the pool a little bit larger, in the sense that. At least they could see, if a manager submitted you, they can see your training and everything. And manager took on a bigger role when that whole SAG, there was some sort of contractual thing with the managers and the agents and everything. I think when the strike happened, something happened there with so managers became a little bit more popular. But a manager is supposed to get you an agent, and I never really had a solid agent. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy with my manager. You have to accept the things you cannot change, and change the things that you can.
So that led up to my next question. How was it working in The Irishman, surrounded by Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Al Pacino, and Martin Scorsese?
Okay, Marty, I worked with on vinyl, so I knew that the experience. I knew him from vinyl, so I was comfortable with him.
Mhm.
And he's a very comfortable part. Makes you feel comfortable in everything that you do. You stay with the script, and they said, "Okay, do one, your way." And what do I do? I mean, you want me to do it? No, any way you want it, Bobby. Just it's okay. It's all right. That's my Scorsese input. And so, working with him, and then it was easy, really. I mean, of course, I was nervous as son of a bitch. I nervous to meet Robert De Niro, but I had that one scene with him.
Mhm.
But he came like, they had me on the set. They just got everything ready. Everything was ready. Everyone's shuffling around. We did a little rehearsal with another stand-in or whatever. And okay, Bobby's on set. Bobby's here. He's just all business. And I knew a couple of friends of Bobby who had worked with him on Deer Hunter, Retanya Alda, who had played John Savage's wife in The Deer Hunter. And I also know my mentor, who was Richard Bright, worked with Robert De Niro on Once Upon a Time in America. So we had a relationship, and he knew of Richard. Richard had closer ties to Al Pacino in the beginning than he had with Bobby, but Bobby De Niro really, he respected Richard Bright and his work. So I had something to talk about, and we spoke about it, and I kind of broke the ice by doing that. I mean, I played his friend, so that was my method to try to become, kind of friendly with him. And I think the scene went up well. I think Marty was really happy with it. That's what Thelma Schoonmaker said to me, his master editor. So he was happy. So I was happy with it. And it's a great experience to work for him. And if you look at all the small performances in any of his films, they're really well-rounded, and you really believe that this is really happening. You know what I mean? So.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What's something people seem to misunderstand about you?
I mean, I think that. I guess but it marches through time how people perceive you, in terms of what you're capable of doing. In the sense of, I've been a little bit lucky in the sense that I've been able to break free a bit of the wise guy persona. In Ray Donovan, I was a policeman, and I've played multiple policemen in Law and Order. And on Sinner with Jessica Biel, although they changed my name, it was Ron Tenet to Tenetti. I felt that the character, even though he was Italian, he wasn't really that. He wasn't the Brooklyn guy, and I was able to do it language-wise. So, I mean, I think that people perceive you as a wise guy. They're not really open for other things. I think but that's a hard thing to. Even James Gandolfini, Jimmy, he struggled a bit. I mean, in the sense that he wanted people to see him and he showed, and he proved it, and he proved them wrong. And now not all the actors will have an opportunity to do so. I've had an opportunity to do so, maybe not on Broadway, but in particular plays that I've chosen to do. There was one called Enigma Variations, and we did it at Fairleigh Dickinson College in New Jersey. And that was a lot of fun. It's about a writer who gave up his one love, and she passes away, and someone comes back from her life to tell him that she really loved him, and it's about regret. So, there have been theater roles that I really enjoy doing, but in film and TV, I don't think I really have opened up, all the way in terms of who I am as a person. And who am I as a person? I guess if you looked at the trajectory of who I am, I would say, someone who wants to make some sort of difference, some sort of cause, to be part of it, a company of players that, what are we here for? Like Arthur Miller says, we're to question. When you walk out of the theater, you're supposed to, maybe you can ask yourself the question, how are we to live? And you want to be a part of that, but it's been a little bit difficult in terms of getting those roles.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. Tell me about a person who has touched your heart, and tell me how that person makes you feel, or how they inspired you.
A person who's touched my heart, how they make me feel, how they inspired me. Well, I could talk about James, how courageous he was, and you just knew that there was something special about him because he wasn't afraid. He took chances. And once he got those wheels going, he was trucking on that highway. So he meant a lot to me that he gave me my first chance. And I'll share something with the audience. I mean, I was cast as Ralph Cifaretto originally. Some actors wouldn't say this, but I want to say it because I was cast as Joe Pantaleone's part, and it didn't work out. And that was hard. It was very difficult to accept that, they made a character for me, Eugene, and it worked out well for me. I really liked what I did, especially in Members Only, because that really showed the sensitive side of me. The guy who really is not happy with maybe his circumstances and wants to get out, and I think people could relate to it. So, and James was there for me, and I don't know if he kept me on the show. I got a feeling that he did. I mean, I love him for that. I mean, I know, and I'll share this for you. David said to me one time on the set, he's kind of like a gnome. So what are you gonna do, Bobby? I said, what am I gonna do? I want to act. I want to be in the show, and I had a feeling that James said, let's keep Bobby, and that meant so much to me, and he was a great supporter, of me, and a great friend. And I understood him, I mean, at that time on the third season, he was kind of very, very famous. And he was reaching out to me because he knew he had to separate his true friends from the people who just wanted maybe something from him, and I guess that's probably the closest I came to that kind of, so far, that kind of feeling of fame and everything, and understanding it through him. And one thing I do, you have no regrets. I wish I would have opened up a little bit more, because the door was always open with Jimmy. I went to Jersey Shore and hung out with him and his family and Michael, and that was terrific. But he made you. It's your choice. If you don't give me a call, but anytime I called him, he always answered the phone and get back to me. And I love him for that. So I guess he's one of the most important people in my life. You know what I mean? And besides, Richard Bright, whom when I really when I took the other role and they made the role of Eugene for me, he kind of helped me understand that, to accept it and to move on. And that's important, to move on from that and look ahead. And Richard was a wonderful actor who was in some great plays. He was a triple threat. Some of them, he played Al Neri from The Godfather. People remember him as Michael's man. If you're not familiar with Richard Bright, he played in The Marathon Man with Laurence Olivier, with Bob Dylan. He told me some great Dylan stories. In Outlaw Billy the Kid with James Coburn. He had a terrific career, and he really opened up things in terms of getting me to relax, and almost like the Karate Kid in a way. We would go out to a diner, a 3-star diner. It's not there anymore on 86th Street and 86th in Columbus, and we would chat about acting and everything. Every time I talked about acting, he would change the subject, and do something else. But it really helped. It really put me at ease. You know what I mean? They're not so important, and So I guess those two men, both great people, both passed away. Before their time. Because he was only 61, Mike.
Yeah.
65, I think he was.
What is one thing that acting did for you that you didn't expect?
That I didn't expect. Well, I really didn't expect a lot of the family members to embrace me now. You know what I mean? If my friends could see me now, I really didn't expect all the, I was like, it really was a change in some of the people, not my immediate family, but some other family members, and also some friends that all of a sudden were, it took me by surprise. This person talking to me is like, I thought we had a fight, like, a couple of years ago or something, so that was, I didn't really expect that, I mean, I was kind of the black sheep, you might say. I left my home when I was like 17, and I lived with someone, at an early age, and I mean, it it was what it was. I mean, I was definitely the black sheep, but I didn't expect all that attention. You know what I mean? And I think,
Right.
and then you kind of, and then you go into Jimmy's perspective. You kind of need to separate, the people who are really, really true, really sincere is the word, sincere, and the people who are not so sincere, who just like you now because you're on TV and you're on The Sopranos,
Right.
So.
So that leads actually led into my next question perfectly. If you could turn back time and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell him?
I guess I would tell him to calm down when it comes to love. You know what I mean? You just got to be patient. I've always had been impatient, even with my early on with my acting. You have to, in life, you have to wait your turn. You just don't get things right away. Some people do, but then they fall by the wayside. They're not really rooted. I've seen a lot of people who worked in TV and film that, they've done one thing and that's all they've done. So, you have to wait. You kind of wait your turn. I think you got to wait your turn when it comes to love. There's some things I wasn't patient for, and I don't think I regret it. I have children and stuff like that. But I think that I would tell myself, just be patient and wait. But the best example is when I went to Pace University. They had a pretty good drama program. They had it great with Suzanne. I forgot her last name, and she just passed. God rest her soul too, Susan, because she taught Bradley Cooper, because he went to Pace, and they were a great program. I was a freshman. I wanted to be like the lead part, and I was like, okay, this is enough for me. I've done 1 year, and I went to live with my girlfriend, and I said, because she was in the program too, or she was asked to be in a play, and that's a long story, and I said, to hell with it, you know what I mean? But I had one of the leads in Godspell, towards the end. But, I kind of sell myself short because I could have waited till when you're a senior, and then you're going to start getting, the roles are going to come around and your true self. The first day in the workshop, in the scene study, I was like singled out, and I never forget Mr. Dumais, Professor Dumais said, that's what you guys got to do. And I didn't know anything about acting. What he did there, that's what I want you guys to do. And I guess it was a sense of reality that I brought to the scene. I'm not, giving myself kudos or anything like that, but I'm just saying, I guess I would say just be patient and wait, because things will happen for you. Even for new actors out there, it's a little bit more difficult now, but they are producing a lot more stuff, and you can sell yourself, market yourself a little bit better on Actors Access, get yourself out there. You do need a manager to get in the door, but you can create things and try to be a part of things. Maybe not so much the theater, but other things that, and people will take note of it. I mean, look, if you do something and it goes on Twitter or Instagram, people take note. And I've heard a few stories like that, but I guess Mike, it's to be patient, and wait your turn. I was impatient, but it still worked out for me, but
Well, that's what I have to say. What I love about you, Bobby, is that when I first met you, and it was one of the bigger films that I'd worked on when we met all those years ago, I found that you were like true to yourself. You weren't fake. You weren't, there are other actors on the set that really, kind of had an attitude and you couldn't really approach them, but you were so approachable and so nice. You made everyone that was not that it was a nickel and dime set, but that was a low budget film that we're working on. And I noticed right away that it didn't matter how much money went into the production, that you were just happy to be working. And there are other people that were there that were just counting the days until their time was done. So I wanted to tell you, I really appreciated the way that you treated other people on the set.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mike. I think you get being those who are friendly, shew themselves friendly. And I think that's important, to shew yourself friendly, especially when you're on a set. You don't want to, if you're going to get any kind of good results, Marty's a perfect example of that, and also Robert De Niro, all those guys, it's like a big family. And of course, I just said that because that's not my family. The Soprano family was my family, and they were all great people who've shown a lot of humility. Of course, there are egos there. I can do more, do this, but I think it goes a long way if you have humility. And Mike Navaez is a good friend, and he still talks to me sometimes. Bobby, I should have given you I'm sorry, Jamie Harrison. He said, I still should have gave you the lead. My wife said I made a mistake. God rest her soul. You know what I mean? She passed away, but
yeah,
it is what it is, how people perceive you and everything. But I try to be nice, and I think it goes a long way, Mike,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that leads me
Yeah.
to my next question. What is
Yeah.
the best compliment that you've ever received?
The best compliment that I ever received. Well, it's hard. I mean, it's um, best compliment. I mean, I guess it had to do. Maybe the season 6 when that first episode when it premiered and we were at the Ziegfeld and then we went, with my mom and dad and we went to the. I forgot where we had the party. Maybe it might have been Roseland. I'm not sure. We had the after party somewhere around in that area, and ballroom or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Jimmy and us taking pictures. It was the members only episode where he got shot, and I hung myself. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and he said, "We did it," And that was the greatest compliment I ever got because it was more than just an award and everything. He was proud that he was able to help me, and to say we did it, I really felt a part of something really, really, really big. And of course, I was on this little. I didn't really reach out to him for the Emmys and stuff. The Emmys has a big thing. You have to be in 3 episodes or something in order to qualify for the to go to the awards that year. And they got a lot of awards, but I really didn't push it, and say, Jim, I love to go. But I was like on the ballot for Best Supporting Actor for Eugene, but it never really worked out. And I didn't get a chance to go because, and I tried looking into it, that say have some sort of rule. If you got to be in 3 or more episodes, it's so stupid. But I could have changed that. And that's one thing I do regret. I could have called Jimmy and said, Jim, I'd love to go. And he would have said, come on. He would have told me, you're going. And that's the one thing I do regret, not sharing that. Even if I wasn't at the awards, even I'd be at the after party and just say, hey man, we did it.
Yeah. So, how would your family describe what you do for a living?
I've been told to get a real job. I'm not going to tell you who told me that, but I've been told. I think that's the whole creative class. I'm reading this great book called The Killing of the Creative Class by Scott Timberg. And it's about he was a reporter for the LA Times, and it's about the whole digital era and what it meant to musicians, what happened to them with the Napster and iTunes and albums and writers and even actors with digital. Our union's trying to protect us in terms of things that go from Netflix, from theatrical to get us better pay, because it's hard out here, and you really depend on these things when the jobs are not coming in all the time. But I forgot the original question. What was it, Mike? I'm sorry.
What your family thinks of what you do for a living.
Yeah. I kind of. Yeah, so I've been told that, get a real job. I think that they really respect me. They're really proud of me. They are. They're very proud of me. My sister, Ann Linder, all those people, and my mom, and they were there for the premiere of Members Only. My dad was really proud. I think my dad always saw me struggling. I think it's us, all us actors, we look kind of like black sheep and everything. And when we finally became to a kind of like a feeling of respect for each other, that I think he really was surprised that, that I'm really up there on the screen and I'm doing it. But he was very important to me because they really supported me when that thing happened, when I lost that role, you know what I mean? The big role. And he just kept going, keep going, you can do it. And he really supported me, and we came to a great understanding. But I guess that's my thing. They really, really like what I do. But at times,
I feel your pain.
It is.
My parents, they don't understand what I do at the same time.
This is how we're perceived. But, it's so important what we do, because if you think about everything with the COVID thing, we need entertainment. We're online, trying to find it, and everyone's binging all these shows, and it's going to be booming afterward. We don't want to. I think someone described it as a lubricant. We are the lubricant on the wheels of humanity, or the wheels of the machine, and we make the trip a lot easier for people because they understand who they are through us. Through song, through dance, through art, through acting, we transcend something that's spiritual and that gives us a sense of hope, right?
No, absolutely. Yeah. So outside of acting, what are you curious about right now?
What am I curious about?
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to try to answer this as outside of that. What am I curious about? I'm curious as to when things will come back. I mean, I'm curious about will they have a vaccine for the COVID-19? I'm curious. Very curious about the theater, how it'll bounce back. You know what I mean? And when it will bounce back. Of course, I love to cook. I'm always curious how the dish will come. How will my my basil chicken come tonight? If I put a little something on, So I mean, I love to cook and recipes, but I mean, I'm curious about those. I mean, how could you not be curious that what is the outcome of this whole thing, Michael? In terms of the whole world. Yeah. I'm curious how it affects us. You know what really is amazing? The George Floyd thing, the whole world is saying like, that to me is mind-boggling that everyone is like saying, well, we're not going to stand for it, Yeah. And that was kind of, wow, that was pretty powerful because everybody got hit with COVID around the whole world. And now George, wow, it's like a bloom of a common universality of mankind, So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. What's the biggest surprise you've had in the last few months and why?
Biggest surprise in the last few months. Well, could I say that it was COVID-19? That was a big surprise. I mean, the last few months, I don't know, was that. I guess the biggest surprise was when the COVID-19 went to Italy, I was thinking, well, that's Italy. It's not, there's a few cases in California, Washington, D.C. I mean, how could you say that's not a surprise? I mean, that was the biggest surprise that, I mean, I don't know what else to say in terms of that was a surprise to me, how the city, how it shut everything down and we became immobilized. And just being, I'm just thinking about being in the store in the mornings because 6 a.m. I take care of my mom. I mean, because she's a senior citizen and the frenzy. I mean, I guess this is what people felt during World War II, World War I. You know what I mean? It's the same sort of thing. It's a battle, of existence.
So for future generations of your family listening to this years from now, is there any wisdom you want to pass on to them? What would you want them to know about?
What I would want them to know is, let me get it up here because I thought this was really, really what says so much about things that, the pursuit of money and happiness, everything is somewhat fleeting what we find value in, you know what I mean? And I think that, I think this quote by Oscar Wilde, I'd like them to know, a cynic is a man who knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. And what is valuable is family, is friends, and our work. I mean, there are a lot of things out here that are traps, you know what I mean? Addictions and substance abuse that they're going to be dealing with, and there's so many traps out here, and you think that that's but you got to really look deep down inside yourself and say, what makes me happy? And I think those things is finding the value, in the simple things is what's really, really important. You know what I mean? I mean, what is the profit of man to gain the world, but lose his soul? I think that says a lot. I'd like them to know that, to value things that not so much possessions, but to value, what at the end of the day, I made things a little bit better, even if you did it for one. I mean, we're finding out more and more now, like the essential workers, how important they are. These guys want to go in the grocery store. Thank God for them, man. It really has humbled me as a human being to know that I'm not any greater than anyone else, but we all contribute in our own way. But you can't say, oh, look at him. that guy works in a grocery store. Oh, you know what? You're an asshole because that guy there is putting his life on the line for you, man. So you get groceries, you know? And he is, in a way. He could say no, and some people did. Some workers did say no, Mike.
What are some funny stories or memories that you could tell me on set that just, had you rolling?
Well, I give you I got a few of them. I'll give you two. One was with Ridley Scott on American Gangster. I work with Josh Brolin, so I'm not going to, and I played his right-hand guy. And McCann. So yeah, McCann. My last name doesn't end in a vowel. You see, early on they were thinking of me. I was part Irish, Black Irish. A friend of mine said, "Yeah, you're Black Irish, man. You're Black Irish, Bobby. You're not Italian. You're Black Irish, man." So I said, "Yeah, okay." Anyway, so I think it was the second day on set. I called this. I titled this "Walking on Water" by Christ. Because the second day on set, I think we had to pick up some drugs in a police station. So we do a couple of takes, and we got to walk through the hallways and go to the consignment, I forgot what they call it, the evidence desk. It's like a desk. It's like a room, but it's you walk to the room, you knock on the door, and it's like a half door opens up. Like a half door opens up, and they're on the other side, you're on the other side. So we had to go to the evidence room. You don't enter the room. You just stay on the outside and grab some evidence because we were dirty cops, SIU cops. Mm-hmm. And we were getting some drugs or something like that, doing something. And so we had to pick up some drugs and we were going to resell them or whatever, but they didn't get into that. So we do a couple of takes and all of a sudden they say, hold on, really wants to wet the floor down. Now we're at it like a school or something. So they got the tile floors. You know how the schools are. Mm-hmm. Really wants to wet the floor down. Now I noticed the day before, everything was being wet. The streets were being wet by these big, the big trucks, the trucks that spray the water. Everything was wet. The streets are wet, all this stuff. Now he wants to wet the floor down. So I said, he wants to wet the floor down. Maybe it's a cinematic thing. It looks better. Probably did. So we start, okay, they say action. So we start walking and we fucking start tripping all over the place. I can't walk. Josh Brolin can't walk. He's slipping. I'm slipping. So we finally had to get it down. And I'm saying to myself, look at this motherfucker Ridley Scott. Second day on the set, the fucking guy wants me to walk on water here. So that was a joke. He wants me to walk on water. Fucking guy wants you to walk on water. I mean, it really is. The guy did Gladiator, and he's like, this guy is God. It's God of one of the gods of directors. He says, walk on water, and we literally were walking on a wet floor. So Josh said that, okay, we're going to fix this problem. We're going to get rubber soles. They're going to fix all our shoes and put rubber soles on our shoes. So we had to send our shoes out to get rubber soles, but we never had to walk inside. We never had to do that kind of scene again. But anyway, it was a great day. And then there was another time on Sopranos. There's that one scene when Joe Gannis, Joe, he's a great guy. He wouldn't care, Joe. He's probably never going to listen to this anyway. So anyway, there's the one scene that, we were sitting down and what happened was he had some weight on him, and we were in the cafeteria, wherever it was, at Silver Cup, and he sat down, and the chair exploded. It really actually exploded. He fell down on. This is not on set, so actually, someone must have caught wind of that. One of the writers, because they were notorious for studying us and putting things in, getting ideas from some of the actors, or just things we did, like playing basketball. They were playing basketball outside of Silver Cup. They put a scene playing basketball. The wise guys, Joe actually and Ralph's and Joey Pants, they were playing basketball. We actually did that. We were playing basketball outside of Silver Cup. So we had such great fun. So Joe fell down. So they wrote a scene in where Joe sits down he sits down, we're having lunch, and he sits down and the fucking chair explodes. And it was just so funny that they wrote that scene there, and it actually happened. But I think I'm telling the story wrong, because I think what actually happened was it wasn't written, and that he did split. That was like a mistake, that he actually did fall, collapse the chair that day. We were all cracking up, and so it was just hilarious.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what I think of funny. Those are two stories that I think are funny stories. Yeah.
What's one common myth about your profession that you want to debunk right now?
Some of my early people that I work with, I think one of them was Herbert Berghoff from the HB Studios. And he once was describing acting as, walking across a tightrope, and one has to be, that it's not so easy that everyone, I guess one of the things that everyone thinks they can do it. And I don't think that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do think in film and TV, you can get away with it. But in terms of longevity and having a career, I do think you do need training. And a little, of course, you do need luck also, and confidence. It's true, but I think the better actors are the ones who have been trained, and have had the opportunity, Mike, to open up because they've had the experience. If you listen to any of David Mamet's stuff, because he teaches acting, he talks about, don't worry about so much about studying acting, but worry, once you get your foundation to work, because you're going to really learn through the working of laying the concrete down or planting seeds, or you learn through acting. Not everyone gets the opportunity to get those jobs and to develop. So there's a lot of talent out there. I respect it. But if I was to say one thing, I would just say that. I would say not everyone can do this. I mean, I can't sing like Pavarotti, I can't, but in acting, someone could say, I can act like Marlon Brando. I think I'm going to make a film. I'm going to do a film. I'm not dissuading that person from doing it. I think they should do it. Maybe they are as good, but I don't think anyone can do it, Mike. I don't think anyone could write like Ernest Hemingway. There's a lot of master classes and I think they're all good, but I also think that you have to look deep down inside yourself and say, well, what am I good at? Maybe I'm good as a producer. Maybe I'm good as a grip, and you have to be able to accept things in life. Look, maybe I'll just do these roles for the rest of my life. Nothing in terms of I can accept it. I've had a nice career in terms of working, and I've experienced and worked with some of the best in the business, and I accept it. Yeah, that's an important thing too, to accept the things you cannot change. But I'll go back to the motifs, and not everyone can do it. And it's true. And I think a lot of people are under this perception that they can be in the arts, but I don't think everyone can do it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah.
And then my final question is, what does the future hold for Robert Funaro?
I'd like to, like many actors, they say they'd like to do this and that. I'm hoping that I get an opportunity to direct film, theater, or maybe do theater, maybe have a career in theater. I think that's a wonderful thing to do. Not so much Broadway, maybe regionally speaking, or maybe in a company, and also to direct. I'd like to direct. I think I have a good. My uncle was a director. I think I'm a natural at it. I think I'm very good at it. But of course, we'll see if the opportunity comes, and pray that it does. But so, I mean, I have some things. There's a you're talking about that. There's a pilot called Say Nothing with Michael Madsen that we shot in Buffalo, and Danny Baldwin. It's kind of a mystery, macabre, wise guy kind of a thing, but it's a little bit something more than just wise guys. There's some thinking behind it that's really good. So I'm doing that. Unfortunately, Ray Donovan was canceled. So, and then I although I was kind of like killed, although you really can't see me being killed on the show, you see a shadow. That's over with. So, I mean, and of course, hopefully there'll be some more roles to do. But that's in the now. That's what I'm doing now, Mike. And of course the directing. I'd like to get into that. I have a couple of projects. I've written one film called Ghost Mafia. I think it's a very good marketable idea. I'd like to get that done. I'd like to go and take a trip to Atlanta. I like to go to the places that are not so popular, and maybe pitch the show. I mean, pitch the film. I mean, I think it's so I have some projects that I'm trying to write too, and those also. But I'm a big believer in got to go where the gold is. So if they're producing stuff in Atlanta or South Carolina, wherever they're doing, And Hollywood in New York is, it's very, very overrun with people,
Yeah.
with the talent pool. I think you got to go where it is. And I think there's going to be plenty of room for production. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's productions happening all over now in the country. Long
Right.
Island's become big. We've got 2 studios here that they just built. Atlanta, Texas, they're doing stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that within the next 2 years, things really, really start happening. And
I
I
think they will
definitely,
for us.
yeah, I think definitely some of your projects will happen, Bobby, because like I said, you're a talented actor. I've always had the utmost respect for you. I want to thank you for coming on the show and spending some
Thank
time
you,
with
Mike.
us. I wish you well. Before I let you go, can you take us out?
This is Robert Funaro, and you're listening to the Quidditas Factor with Michael Arbouet.
You've been listening to the Quidditas Factor with Michael J. Arbouet. Before I end the show, I've been getting a bunch of emails from you guys about what I'm eating or reading, because I'm a foodie as well as an avid reader. And so today I figured I would end the show by letting you know what I'm reading. And I'm reading a book by Daniel Suarez called Demon, and that's spelled Daemon. And it's a technological thriller. It's amazing. Everything that happens in this book can happen in real life, and it's gonna scare some people, and some of you are gonna want this to happen in real life. I don't want to give too much of the book away. I suggest you go out and read it. If you are into audiobooks, download Audible and listen to the book, because they do a really good job of it as well. I've both read the book and listened to the book and loved them both. So that's my pick for this week, and I hope you enjoy it. Hey guys, before you go, if you like the show, please follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And for more information on me or the show, you can go to MikeArbouet.com. That's MikeArbouet.com. Buy some merch, check out my books, see what movies I'm working on, and thank you for listening. Tune in next week for an all-new episode of The Quidditas Factor.